What's going on? Boys, even more order development. Today we are talking about a few things: growth, divinity, organization, life, which is very general, and probably a few other things. We'll start in the life and growth department. I think I have figured out what the stress episodes are. But actually, to get to them, to put things in context, we will start with a little anecdote. This happened more than a month ago, but between the last few weeks have been, or the last month by now, has been the equivalent of someone holding your face against a hot stove and needing to employ all of your skills to get out of it. Not even to perform surgery on yourself after you've been stabbed repeatedly, but just to stop the stabbing. Late last year, I met a single mother with a daughter who needed help from our organization. And we can offer only so much help. We're one group, we do one thing, and we don't have a lot of money. So, in the middle of our doing what we can, where we can, this single mother and I start talking. And she seems on the level enough. And considering her set of problems, there might actually be something or a few things I can do. Not officially, but these people aren't associated. And they seem, or the mother seems, on the level, like I said. And while I don't have a tribe, I tend to feel kinship with untribed people. People who are having a hard time and have no institutions or support networks to turn to. You're paying way too much money for dog shit housing. The sort of housing the people, I put people in quotes here, around here use for the illegal labor they want to take advantage of and don't feel like taking care of. You have become another thing they can exploit, making a single mother working a shitty job pay way too much because she doesn't have any other options. I can't promise you a happy outcome, but I can almost certainly get you right up to the final steps of securing some charitable, affordable, nicer housing. Rent that scales with your pay. Housing with requirements that might stop someone in your position. I can get you past those requirements almost certainly. All you'll need to do is attend an interview, make puppy eyes, and seem not insane. And after some pushing, I got that interview set up. You were trained to do X, you have a background in doing X, but you are currently working a shitty job for almost no money. I know of an organization that needs someone who does what you do. Now, I don't know them and they don't know me, but we know of each other. I can write you a letter of recommendation and give you a better shot, probably. And then your daughter is having trouble fitting in school, and she feels like it's pointless because she wants to be an artist, and this school has a dog shit, apathetic, awful art program. Because what school has a nice art program? I'm friends with well, friends may be a little strong of a word, mutually admirable acquaintances with an older woman who spent most of her life teaching children art. I would be shocked if she wouldn't be willing to tutor your daughter for free and be a friend. And then this woman offered to do some professional stuff for us that we don't know how to do. She would do it for free, volunteer, and that was our gentleman's agreement. So I get all of this shit set up unofficially on my time, because this is what a person should do. The very last time I saw her, she was coming in to pick up her letter of recommendation. And I had set aside some time, although technically personal time. One of the reasons I like my job is I can engineer downtime for myself if I want it, just to go over some stuff. And while I was waiting because she was running late, I was working on my tarot reading. Because in addition to being interesting, I've heard if you get good at it, it's an okay way to make some pocket money, doing something you don't hate. And she comes in while I'm working on it, and immediately, upon her seeing it, her vibe is off. And we start going over a few things, and she's being terse, and then she says, you know, in some places they would burn you alive for that. And I'm taken aback because at that moment, I was not in fuck everybody mode. And then she takes the letter of recommendation, says she has to leave, and then leaves. And I don't hear from her again. And I haven't spoken with the affordable housing person. I haven't spoken with the art teacher. I haven't looked into that other organization, and I don't want to. I am sure I am going to get an update from somebody at some point, but thus far, I have heard nothing, and I want to know nothing. That was the last time I saw her. And there's this other woman in my professional vicinity who makes life very difficult. Though she does, God bless her, she's frustrating because she's a very nasty person, and she feels comfortable enough to be nasty to people and suffer no consequences because of money and connections and all these things. But, God bless her, she is stupid and arrogant enough she feels comfortable running her mouth, meaning she blows people's plans, schemes, before they can come to fruition. You wonder why I know things? It's because you can't keep your yappy little dog's snout shut. Constantly causing problems and just being nasty, and there is no reason to. You have to go out of, the building is a shared building, but you have to go out of your way to pass by me and say nasty little things. A couple days after that single mother picked up her letter of recommendation, this other woman hits me with a "Hail Satan" in that smarmy, you can't do anything voice. So I just spent a few days helping this woman who not only didn't uphold her meager end of the bargain, but also, I don't know whom she told or when exactly. Now there's going to be word spreading that Skimmerlit worships Satan. That's the thank you. She didn't even ask what it was or why I was doing it. She walked in, saw something she didn't like, took all the advantage she could, and then stabbed me in the back on the way out. Now, the reason I tell that story is helping to build the picture of why one might need to grow stronger and what I think is happening. So fast forward to now. After a month of applying fuck everyone, my boss and I were going to have a meeting that was supposed to be just 10 to 15 minutes to get him up to speed. Well, I guess I looked distressed enough, and he's one of the only people who cared enough to stop the meeting. You look awful. Let's not think about work for a minute. Let's just chit-chat. So we took about an hour and talked about some of the things that have been bugging me professionally and personally. Not everything, but enough. And slim pickings my boss is an odd cat. I'm somewhat concerned he is a super high-level INFJ, not an INTP. Methodologically speaking, everything says he's an INTP, an odd INTP, but there is part of me that is doubting still. And another little hack regarding INFJs, the highest level ones don't have those dead, empty, zoned out eyes. Anyway, he explained to me why he's been doing some of the things he's been doing, offering me opportunities to do his job while he handles mundane shit, getting me to go to events he alone was explicitly invited to attend, and meet people personally so I can get their names and associations, pay attention to what's going on, and write up a report or reports for these events, the people who were there, what was discussed, what happened, and my impressions, and so on. I was under the impression these were just opportunities for more responsibility, career development, and they are, but there's also a personal aspect to them. Slim is a series of contradictions. On the one hand, he talks like he fears death, and he does fear death, and he talks like he's going to live forever. And then there are moments like these in which he talks about at times wanting to die and being sick of everything, and also that he might be having a feeling he's going to die soon. I want you to be emotionally strong enough to handle things if I don't wake up tomorrow. Because if it's not you, if you can't handle this, then this whole thing is going to fall apart. There are a number of people and organizations who are going to want to dismantle this once I'm gone and take the components, and the people on your side right now, as you're learning, even if they want to help, can't really. Or at least they won't succeed in the driver's seat. If I die unexpectedly, then you're going to be under a lot of pressure, and I want you to feel capable of handling it. It was a very odd conversation, but part of what I took from that conversation for my own figuring shit outedness is those stress episodes might be part of development, part of metamorphosis, a worm turning into something more, way quicker than a worm should. I mean, as Pat Cooper said, if you're born a dog, you can't die a cat, but in the last month, there have been internal adjustments I couldn't even begin to make in almost 2 years of therapy. Good therapy is managing your issues. Some things you can't fix, some things you can't make go away, but you can manage them in a way you feel comfortable with. And that's what I believed. I still vouch for that. That's so much better than nothing. But I didn't think these sorts of internal adjustments, not complete changes, just adjustments, substantial enough to go, shit, what? Were even possible. That difficult woman, for instance. In the past, and still, it's never what she says. It's that she thinks she's getting me with what she's saying, and I can't do anything about it. When in reality, what's getting me is the fact I can't do anything about it, technically, and we both know it. That's what gets to me. And that is more infuriating than any series of words. And all it would take is just seeing her give me a shitty smile to put me in a bad mood for at least a day. But she's been shitty 2 times in the last 2 days. And these were both after my boss and I had our conversation. And I realized after about 2 hours, in each instance, I'm okay. I'm fine. Emotionally, I'm fine. I mean, you can't. When people hurt you, it still hurts. You're still aware you're being hurt. But you develop something, enough of something, that you don't feel it. And you can move on a lot faster. And you're capable of dealing with it. Example. I've been aware for a little while now someone has been coming into our area when they shouldn't. They haven't gone into anything important as far as I know, but I found out that someone's been coming in, and I had an idea of who it was. But today, an idea struck me. Like a lightning. Brilliance from God. What would happen if I locked our doors, turned out all the lights in our space, and just sat in the dark? Because I knew someone had come in after I left the day before. I wonder if whoever it is would be stupid enough to come in, however they're getting in, today just because the lights are off. And there's very little natural light in our area. So I am sitting there just waiting. And lo and behold, I hear footsteps. And then I hear keys jingling when only a few people who are not here as far as I know, are supposed to have keys to this area. And then the door opens. And then in walks smug, smarmy woman. And I give her a start by asking what she's doing in here, because she hadn't seen me. She threatens me with something, but I say I have her breaking and entering on camera on my phone, even though I haven't been recording shit. And then she leaves promising she's going to be in contact with my boss. Something's going to be done about this. I just love Mormons. And formerly, the ignorant arrogance of that threat would bother me for a long time. But within an hour, I was fine. You still feel it when you have a confrontation like that after you've been threatened. You catch someone doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and then they threaten you. But in this instance, there was an intoxicating feeling of, who gives a fuck? Try me. If you're gonna do something, do it. And maybe she does do something. Maybe she does try me. But it'll be one thing that's probably falsified without evidence. And I have not huge files, but files of things that could make their lives very difficult if they really started some shit. It's not a problem. I would like you to try some shit so that I don't have to sit on this. I would really like to make you miserable if you want to try to make me miserable. That would have been almost unthinkable just a month ago. The stress episodes are the writhing that come with evolving in real time. And I reiterate, this isn't a complete character shift. This is an evolution, and one that, in my mind, could have happened, but it would have taken years. But I'm accomplishing it in record time, with the guidance of a wise leader. And when I was a kid, This sort of setup is what I wanted. I didn't want to be a leader. I didn't have aspirations of being a leader. In fact, I remember having a conversation with my father in which I told him I want to be a good follower, not a leader, which furthered his disgust of me. And rightly so, but I viewed my peak, or my potential peak, as being a capable instrument of a wizened hand. And Slim's is an unnervingly wizened hand. Because with some people, the complexity gap you'll see is either this person seems soft, but they're actually very hard, or this person seems hard, but they're actually very soft. Slim's gap was strange in that when I first met him, I thought he was an NPC. I got almost no read on him. And he still acts most of the time, especially around other people, in that NPC mode. But when it's just him and me talking, occasionally, well, not occasionally, now I'd say it's more 40, 60, 60 being the other stuff. 60% of the time slips into hyper confusing, complicated, smart, contradictory, eldritch horror shit. He's the one who taught me when it's time to do the right thing, and don't think about it. Deal with the consequences of doing the right thing later. He's also the one who taught me not to hesitate when it's time to do bad things, which is in complete contrast to how he normally acts, which is moving even slower than I am, as I mentioned, but moving fast when it's time to move fast by cutting your own shit off, making your own sacrifices so you can move faster when you need to move faster. It's confusing, but the stress is a result of gaining power quickly. And what I've learned, or one of the things I've learned in the last month, is cowering is no longer acceptable, and inaction is no longer an option. Even though things are only going to get so much worse. The man has layers. One of the things I was not expecting to hear out of Slim's mouth was anything about the Kali Yuga. But this leads me to one of the next things I want to talk about. Dying. Dying well in fulfilling our purpose is one of the things we strive for around here. But after that death feeling earlier this week, I realized that I'd really like to die. If that feeling was anything close to what it's actually going to feel like. Again, reading about near-death experiences, if you die not by your own hand, it feels like that. If you try to take your own life, it's going to be a nightmare. I want to die when I'm supposed to die, having done what I was supposed to do. I want to feel that okay again. So how is someone supposed to die early without taking a shortcut? Well, I've noticed a pattern. Great people tend to die early for one reason or another. And for a long time now, I've had a feeling once I accomplish whatever I'm supposed to accomplish, I'm going to die pretty abruptly afterward. I think part of what we're doing here is trying to accomplish a glitchless speed run of life, beating your main quest as quickly as possible and then watching the credits. Hence why I think I found myself unconsciously trying to induce those stress episodes. Let's get this shit moving. I want to be done with this as soon as I can. Give me what I need, or turn me into whatever you're turning me into, so I can get this done and get out of here. All of this, put another way, if you're feeling like you're burning alive on the outside, you're in a position to take that fire into yourself and pull the twice as bright, half as long thing. Because if you become truly great, even if you weren't recognized for it, Patrice wasn't recognized for his greatness until long after he was dead. Well, not long after he was dead, long enough. You'll get out pretty quickly, and you'll have done your job. This all feels like regaining consciousness on a plummeting aircraft. You're pretty sure you're dead, but everyone is screaming at you to do something. You can't lose consciousness again. Your options are close your eyes and pretend it isn't happening and die doing nothing, or try to do something, please Jesus, do something, and still probably die, but die trying. Next item on the agenda: organization in function and in feeling. To be clear, we revere thought. You can have an IQ of 160 and still be a lazy, drooling, sorry animal. I watched a video the other day that made me think of one of my relatives. The video was about a dude with an IQ of 70 figuring out a career path he can work with. How did he do this? Well, he had a problem. He recognized a problem. My IQ is making doing this job difficult. So what should I do? I think I'll do some reading. He went online and investigated jobs that he could do and that would be suited to him, like something he wouldn't hate doing. And he came up with a fast food job. And people in the comments were effectively patting him on his head and telling him he was a good little dummy, not letting his handicap stop him from being at least a burnout tier human being. And that bothered me, because this dude is more in touch with his divine spark than you are. Most people are so fucking stupid. They're holding supercomputers and either can't think to look up things they don't know or don't want to. Whereas this dude recognized a problem, investigated his problem, researched a solution, and then applied the solution. That is our divinity. That's what separates us from animals. And not even that. Because some animals like solving puzzles. Maybe they aren't sentient the way we are sentient, but they have enough of a spark to put shit together, figure things out, use tools, and investigate. They're accessing a degree of divinity. You're going to condescend to a dude who's better than you, because his number is lower than yours. All the men on my father's side, aside from me and my father, of course, I don't know how we dodged this bullet, but all the other men on my father's side of the family are autistic. Again, to degrees, some more severe than others. Well, one of my more severely affected relatives is obsessed with old-style cartoons, like Looney Tunes and shit like that. He can barely communicate verbally. And when it started, it seemed like just a passing fixation. But the last time I saw him, and it had been some time between seeing each other, he taught himself to draw using YouTube. He started uploading very rough attempts at animations on YouTube, and he put together these flashcards of famous animators to read off. I don't know what purpose they served exactly, but he thought this information was important enough to whatever he was trying to do, to his goals, to archive and keep handy. Seeing filthy fucking Hylics condescending to people whom they view as inferior, when they, in fact, have a better connection with a divinity you should have easier access to, really agitates me. We revere cognition. If you have the capacity to recognize that fire exists, that fire could be a tool, it's something that can be mastered maybe, and you're willing to try to figure out how to work it, you are divine. However, I'm beginning to think we aren't humans. Well, I'm not beginning to think. I made a video about this a while ago. We aren't humans. That's not human divinity. Nonetheless, that's our divinity. Now, while I do want to enjoy having created something that is, of course, going to go nowhere and become nothing, I don't want it or anyone else to need me. I'm working out degrees or ranks. I think instead of using a strictly numerical higher or lower system, we could probably rank by gathered keywords. Instead of going from lower to higher, going from outer to inner. Each keyword could be some sort of accomplishment. Moving from low accomplishments to high accomplishments in the keyword sphere, but the ranks rather being collections of keywords or collections of accomplishments. So if you gather 3 lower end keywords, you would be this rank or whatever. Or if you accomplished 3 other keywords, you would be that other, yet still lower, outer rank. And then, as a person gathers more keywords, fills themselves out, as it were, they move closer inward, culminating in whatever. The one who has a ton of them, or the collection deep but appropriate to them, with an option but not a requirement of organization. For instance, I really like, I don't know if all PhD programs do it, but the program I was looking at the very end, whether you write a thesis or you publish a novel, you have to sit down before a committee of your peers and essentially take a verbal beating for an hour and defend your work and your process. I love it because it's a shit test. If you've done everything right, it's not a defense, it's not a challenge, it's a victory lap. It's a celebration with the people you are joining. But if you tried to bullshit it, then it's really ugly. And of course that can be misused, but that's why it's optional. The idea being, as a test or a process to get into an inner order, one must accomplish a great undertaking. Now, the product doesn't have to be great, but it needs to take time and dedication, and they need to demonstrate they were thinking, trying to get it done. In other words, the defense of your great undertaking, the accomplishment, would less be how good did this thing turn out, because you don't always have control over that. But you do have control over your thought process. What were you thinking? Why were you thinking it? How did your thoughts develop over the process? That's what we're looking for. That's what you, as a human, have. You have the capacity to think and to try on some level. And if you can't or won't, then leave. You should leave now. Why do you even exist? Why are you wasting your sentience? Why are you wasting your gift? That leads into another thing I've been toying with. I'm becoming obsessed with the idea of not looking away and facing pain alone. We've talked about branding before. Well, I found a way to buy a custom branding iron that's not going to break the bank. In terms of rituals, I like the idea of a high-level initiate, or rather, someone becoming a magister, a proper magister, going alone into a room with a fire, going somewhere alone with a fire and the iron, setting up a camera and giving a short reflection to themselves and potentially to others who might be watching it, but they're doing this alone. And then branding themselves. No getting somebody else to do it for you. You take that hot iron and you put it on your skin, on camera. And this idea is in an odd place for me, because on one hand, you watch videos of people doing brandings, it's not that big of a deal. But then on the other hand, when you're looking down the barrel of it, it feels like a very big deal. You're doing something painful and permanent. You're not getting the star off you after this. And it's going to hurt, not just when you stick yourself with it, but also for a week or two after. You're going to need to reflect upon the star and the agitation to your skin every day. This is something I really want to do. And I mean, I'm going to, but I'm trying to figure out when and how. Is this something I want on the internet? Do I want my face on camera? Do I want to do it on my chest where I was thinking, while I'm fat right now? I have Christian nipples. I'm disgusting. I don't know yet. But I'm beginning to be taken with symbols and rituals. They are so much more than they are, when they are imbued with purpose anyway. They're like guided meditations. They do nothing for me, but I see the effect they achieve for some people. And it's a mixture of I need mine and we need ours, potentially. If we are a separate species or subspecies via memes, then we need to develop a tribe and a selection system to keep the memes pure. These videos have been getting way too long. I might try to do some MBTI stuff here in the next few days. This video's key points summarized. You can evolve way faster than you believed possible, and it is going to hurt when you do, but you can. We're trying to become great so we can die without dying. We revere and cherish cognition first, and above all else. And if you want to become a psychic magister and levitate over the dirty Hylics, you need to burn yourself. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really had a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun. In fact, you can sleep on it. Not in the physical sense, but in the process of working something out sense. Because that's a lot of fun. And that's how much we have on this channel. And I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.